I also feel that it has a tremendous appeal to people who need some sense of mystery in their life, that everything hasn't been finally quartered and labeled and pigeonholed by science, that there is still an element of mystery and allure in Western North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with both things you said there. Actually, I think that technologically, LEMUR team, we've done a lot of research that seems to indicate that it may be a plasma-like phenomenon, something similar to, say, ball lightning. And if this is the case, it could have implications with transcommunication, with non-lethal weaponry, which is something that we really need nowadays. There's too much violence and all that. And really, I think that it'd be fantastic if there were ways, especially in terms of communication and just better understanding of the current states of matter that we understand and that we know of in terms of physics and biology. If we could take on a greater understanding through our understanding of the manifestations in the Linville Gorge, that would be wonderful. And of course, it'd be something that we might even be able to bring to the consumer level. Imagine if we could, use this technology to power microwave ovens or something like that,
Right.
or be a solution to the gas crisis. Who knows? There are any number of avenues that this could possibly take in terms of technology. But it does definitely bring an almost spiritual awareness to people. Almost, like what we were talking about in the car, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
You almost kind of derive a spiritual experience from being able to be around the lights and be able to see them.
Mm-hmm.
That would have an ecological benefit too,
Mhm.
I'm sure, in the sense that people are more aware of a sensitivity or a consciousness within nature, and make us revise or think twice about the way we're dealing with nature.
Right.
And Cindy, does that seem to be what you're feeling, that it's definitely with the spiritual?
And I almost sense that there's an intelligence with these lights. It's like what I said, I pray and I meditate and I just make myself quiet before I get there. And it's almost like I'm communicating to someone, I'm coming, I'll be there soon. And I have seen things there that we can't explain. Mm-hmm. And when I leave, I'm not afraid, I'm not frightened, I'm just very calm, very quiet. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting experience.
Okay. And now, on behalf of our viewers, we actually do have the lights on tape. So if we could run that tape for our viewers, just a few minutes or less, we'll let them see what it is that we're discussing here, the Brown Mountain lights that don't only appear at Brown Mountain, but...
North Carolina. It might look ordinary, but this secluded ridge is special. Since the early 1900s, it has been investigated by the U.S. government at least 3 times and even inspired an episode of The X-Files. For generations, thousands have seen weird, unexplainable illuminations creeping around the rugged mountain at night. They come in most all colors and are usually dazzling balls of light that float and guide amongst the trees. Science has never explained them, and their appearance is rare. So rare, in fact, that our team was the first ever to videotape them in 2000. This footage was taken from an overlook 3.5 miles away. According to Indian legend, there was a desperate battle on the ridge between the Cherokee and Catawba around 800 years ago, and these lights are restless souls. LEMUR Vice President Brian Irish wielded his infrared camera to capture the footage you see.
Actually, Micha, if you could explain to us what we just saw and how that footage came about and how LEMUR's been a part of this.
Absolutely. In November of 2000, I believe on the weekends of both the 4th and the 11th, our imaging specialist Brian Irish, along with Joshua P. Warren and a few others from our organization, had traveled to the overlook at 181, and that's going up 181 through Morganton, right up there at, towards the crest of the mountain. There's mile marker 20 there, and there's a large gravel pull-off at the mile marker, and you can kind of park right there. And that and Wiseman's are 2 of the best places to view the lights, at least in terms of Brown Mountain. And Brian actually had taken his camera in between sundown and midnight on those 2 evenings, captured those images that we just saw. Now, we can't rule out all possibility in some of the instances that folks are, seeing things like ATV headlights or campfires. But the interesting thing about the video we just saw was that many of those lights seem to be moving along rock faces and almost, swirling and dissipating and moving around in areas where people couldn't otherwise get to. And it's pretty hard to, explain how these manifestations could have occurred had they been campfires or someone flashing a headlight or something like that. They almost seem to move beyond the tree line and kind of float around in some of the instances.
Definitely floating, and their shape was changing from bigger to smaller to wispy, which
Right.
does not seem concurrent with
Sure.
a
Yeah.
campfire or headlight.
Yeah, a great term that we like to use is amoebic, because they swirl and they take on different non-shape shapes, I guess.
Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous, yes, kind of.